prepare yourselves, because I'm about to start ranting about one of my favorite shows right now. Seriously though, I will be ranting, and I'm gonna be talking about Love, Death Plus Robots Season 4, and honestly speaking, it was really not good. I mean, we had to wait 3 years since Season 3, and this is what we got. Okay, let's go episode by episode, shall we? First episode of this season is Can't Stop, and this is literally CGI Red Hot Chili Peppers concert and nothing more. It's not puppet animation, it's just CGI, just 3D animation that is stylized to look like puppet string animation, but it is not. It's just pure CGI, and would have been cooler if it was stop motion animation, of course, but it is not. And I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers, and unpopular opinion, I liked this episode. I don't think this episode was a waste of time, that it's robbed us of an actual episode, because season 2 was 8 episodes long, season 3 was 9 episodes long, and this season is 10 episodes long. So if we remove Can't Stop, it's 9 like the previous season. So most likely we would not have another episode if Can't Stop didn't exist. We would get just 9 episodes instead of 10. And Can't Stop, it's just David Fincher's fan project. He just always wanted to make a music video with Red Hot Chili Peppers, but they ghosted him. And then he met Flea, who is the bassist of Red Hot Chili Peppers, in person, and asked Flea if he can make an animated music video of them, and Flea said okay, and David Fincher was like, yeah, cool, let's go. And it's basically David Fincher gushing over Red Hot Chili Peppers. Nothing really offensive, but I kind of agree it doesn't really belong on Love, Death Plus Robots, because this show is about horror and sci-fi, fantasy occasionally, and Can't Stop is nothing. It's none of that. It's just CGI Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. But because I like Red Hot Chili Peppers, I genuinely enjoyed it. Nothing special. Episode 2, Close Encounters of the Minikind. It's the same style as Night of the Mini Dead from the previous season, and just like that episode, it was a lot of fun. It's this short sci-fi story. The previous season had a zombie story, zombie apocalypse, this one alien invasion, and what can I say? It was nice, nothing special. So yeah, and episode 3, Spider Rose, is the first serious episode of this season. Each season must have this 3D animated sci-fi episode, high concept sci-fi episode. Previous season had Swarm. The first season had Beyond the Killer Reef, and if I'm not mistaken, Spider Rose is based on the story by the same author who wrote Swarm. Honestly, it was a pretty interesting episode, but to be honest, the ending was pretty abrupt. I really needed more context to understand what's going on at the end. Did Pat just ate Spider Rose, and did they merge into one being, or what happened? It was just really too short, and to be honest, that's fair for most of the season. The ideas, the concepts might be interesting, but they just end really abruptly. And we'll see in the next episodes. Episode 4 is 400 Boys. The animation style is cool, kinda reminds me of Zima Blue, and probably from the same studio. The story is nothing special, nothing original. Two gangs in the post-apocalyptic world unite to fight off another group, 400 boys, who are this giant baby bosses for some reason. Honestly, it's really cool, reminded me of Attack on Titan, if Titans could not regenerate. My only problem is the way female characters are drawn. Like why are they drawn this way? Sexualized, I don't know, it was absolutely unnecessary. Like this over-sexualization of female characters was absolutely unnecessary, didn't serve any purpose at all. So what was that? It really put me off. And overall, just like Spider Rose, it was a very average, mediocre episode. Again, nothing really special. That's really the problem with this season. Episode 5, the other large thing, is probably my favorite episode of this season, but its problem is that it's short as hell. It ends abruptly. The concept is really cool. You know, some people joke often that what if cats actually think that they rule the world and humans are their servants? So this episode is precisely about that. There is this character, a house cat named Sanchez, who thinks he should rule the world and his human owners are his servants, and he teams up with tech-savvy robot, and together they start a revolution to overthrow humanity and make Sanchez the king of the world. And as the most interesting part, the revolution starts, the episode just comes to an end. Like seriously, it would have been so awesome if it was 5-6 minutes longer. We actually saw how Sanchez and robots and other cats take over the world. Such a cool, interesting concept, but just no, it just ends at the most interesting moments. It's like we watched the prologue of an interesting story, and this prologue is an entire story, nothing else. So the beginning is cool, but overall pretty disappointing. Then we have episode 6, Golgotha, which is, in my opinion, probably the worst episode of this season. One of the worst of the entire show. I mean, this episode looked almost like live action. Well, I mean, it looked extremely realistic. Like, and what was the purpose of this episode being on the show? Like, what is the purpose of hyper-realistic animation? Because animation is the medium that allows you to be super creative, to create anything using animation, and Golgotha could just be live action, a series with live action actors with no animation at all. The writing is extremely bad. First of all, of course, like previous episode, it's short and adds at a very interesting moment. It would have been really cool if the alien and the priest for having some kind of philosophical conversation about the nature of life, about how it's wrong to invade, to destroy the whole species, to take over planets. You know, this kind of philosophical conversation between a human priest and an alien priest. And I really thought that's what this episode would be about, some sort of philosophical discussion on religion and politics. But no, they just talk for like 20 seconds and then the aliens start the invasion, and very underwhelming, very poorly written. Yes, probably the worst episode, yes. If we don't consider Can't Stop, which is just David Fincher's fan work, just David Fincher gushing over Red Hot Chili Peppers. If we don't take that into account, Golgotha is the worst episode of the season. Episode 6, The Screaming of the Tyrannosaur. And this was a really interesting episode, yes. I think it should have been better, but you know, the execution was not really great. But the idea was cool, this futuristic, this sci-fi setting. It's some sort of base around one of Jupiter's moons. It's basically the Duchess and the Duke organizing some sort of survival games to entertain themselves and the public. Basically like gladiator fights, but in space. With some pseudo-Chinese philosophy. There is a lot of Mandarin. The main character is Chinese, and we hear her thoughts in Mandarin, but without subtitles, without translation. So it was supposed to be kind of philosophical, deep, but to be honest, I don't know, it didn't really work. The interesting concept, space plus dinosaurs, that was good. Everything else was pretty mediocre again. Mediocre episode. The next episode is how Zeke got religion, and as I read reviews, it's the highest rated episode of the entire season, and it didn't do much to me. Like, honestly, didn't do much. Again, nothing special. Nothing special. It's just the Nazis create, or I don't know, summon some kind of hellish monster, and the Americans bomb it, and then this monster attacks the Americans, and just some of them survive, kind of like, I don't know, basic survivor horror like Alien or Predator. Nothing really special. Yeah, 6 out of 10 at best. But the animation was really good, probably the best animation. This and 400 Boys, probably the best animation. And if I'm not mistaken, this episode, How Zeke Got Religion, was animated by the same studio that made Scavenger's Reign, one of the best animated shows of recent years. And I'm still waiting for season 2, for announcement of season 2, but I understand that there is probably not gonna be season 2. Well, the season 1 was too niche and wasn't that popular. Okay, next episode is Smart Appliances, Stupid Owners, and well actually this one was just as bad as Golgotha. I mean, seriously, it's just episode about nothing with obscene toilet humor. Like, I'm not really a huge fan of toilet humor. It feels like this episode was written by a bunch of 12-year-olds for a bunch of 12-year-olds. Was not really impressed. Yeah, a pretty bad episode. And the final episode for Hick and Creep, another cat episode. I don't really know what to say, because it's just really mediocre episode. The coolest thing was cats fighting Satan, and Satan looked cool as hell. This version of Satan kinda looks like he belongs to Has Been Hotel or something, to be honest. But honestly, there wasn't really anything memorable in this episode, and 6 out of 10 at best. The biggest problem of this season is that there weren't any great episodes. Some episodes were somewhat decent, like The Screaming of the Tyrannosaur and Spider Rose. Those episodes were decent. Some episodes were outright bad, like Golgotha or Smart Appliances. One episode, which is Can't Stop, is not really an episode, just David Fincher Red Hot Chili Peppers fan video, and the rest is just unremarkable, right? Seasons 2 and 3 were not perfect. They didn't have all episodes super highly rated, but previous seasons had episodes that made you think, episodes with philosophy, with interesting concepts. But this one, unfortunately, all episodes feel half-baked. Some episodes had great interesting ideas, concepts like Spider Rose, but they all feel extremely half-baked, like we saw like half of episodes. There wasn't a single episode, if I'm not mistaken, longer than 17 minutes. If you cut Netflix's ending credits, it's even shorter, more like 14 minutes and not 17. So all episodes were short, and it feels like almost all episodes were like cut in half. We saw the first halves and we didn't see the rest. It's just something big, some invasion, some revolution starts, and at that very moment when interesting stuff starts, it's just abruptly ends, and this is the problem. And not a single episode is satisfying. Ironically enough, the most satisfying episode was Can't Stop, because it's just a music video. And even with Can't Stop, I agree with many people, there could be something more interesting, like the stage starts burning, people start burning, some alien invasion starts during the concert, and the band performs through alien invasion and stuff. But no, it was just a regular concert. Alright, so overall I would give this season 4 out of 10. Very, very underwhelming, and I really hope season 5 will be better. And I can't believe I waited 3 years since 2022 just for this. Not a single good episode, seriously. Okay, the rant is over. Thanks for bearing with me through this rant. And what do you think of this season? What was your favorite episode? What did you think? And see ya. Bye.